hilarious. Yeah. This is part 2.
Who you call Pinhead?
Yeah. They call me Pinhead. This is part 2, and Z's first picture he put up was one of him on the moon with my face on a flag, and then since we had to redo it, this is the one that he pulls up.
Yeah.
See, that picture's from 3 years ago.
It's a bad picture, Ren.
Well, it is.
God, that's all. I don't think your hair looks like that anymore. God bless.
No, it looks like this. I actually got it. When did I get my hair cut? I went sometime last week, got it. So
I mean, you look like a pinhead.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here saying the photo looked good.
Yeah, then why'd you send it?
Yeah, I just sent it to you and D. That was it.
you know, guys, there was a couple summers ago, and I'm not gonna show those pictures on our channel, but there were a couple summers ago, a few years ago, where you know, N would be sending Snapchats to, let's say, other individuals, and he would accidentally send them to me.
Yeah,
and it's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Literally, the only one, Z, that you have of that is like me saying "new face of the country club," and the other one was.
And I have 4 of them. I can show them all right now.
Yeah, you have 4 of them.
Don't forget the boo one, then.
Well, I put on my story. It was Halloween.
That was still bad. Let's see what other ones we got here. We got and again, don't ask guys because they're not
about 90% of Z's camera roll is me.
Yeah, you're right. And you know, we have you know, I bet all the patients are liking the new hair.
Wait, what was it?
What does it say? I bet all the patients are liking the new hair.
Yeah.
You know exactly who that went to.
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
again, Z, that was about 2-3 years ago, so not worried about it.
It's in the past, and it's in the past.
Yeah, it is. Not worried about it.
Just leave it there.
Yep. That's where we leave a lot of things, Z. Episode 24, guys, of Who Are These Guys? Z and I are doing an episode here. It is Sunday. You guys will be seeing this on Monday. But Z wanted to get an episode in before he leaves. So, Z, do you want to explain to the audience what's going on Wednesday?
I'm going to New York, then.
Yeah, he is. So this is Z's second time to go to New York. He's going to see a friend of his. Z would not be going to New York if he did not move there 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, again, part of that could be true. But a good friend, Nick, who does watch these videos. So what up to Nick? You'll probably be seeing this before I even come there. But yeah, he lives in the heart of Manhattan. You know, I've known Nick for a long time. And yeah, I'll be going up to see him for about a week. So,
well, Nick, what's it like knowing that Zach uses you?
And there it is.
So, guaranteed, if you lived in Vermont, you would not go.
Yeah. And he lived in Fort Collins, Colorado, where there's nothing. And I still went up there and saw him. You don't even know where Fort Collins is.
It's in Colorado.
Oh yeah, just because I said that.
It's in the Denver area.
It's in the Denver area. Idiot. So, you know, and we'll be going to a Yankees game, which would be a good time. Never been to a Yankees game before. Never been to Yankee Stadium before. You know, we'll be just kind of doing the basic tourist stuff that I wasn't able to do the first time I went, or not everything the first time I went, and then we'll just be kind of experiencing the nightlife there because we weren't able to do too much of that the first time. So, yeah.
Well, Z, as I said in the first part here, as I'm going to say in the second part, redoing this, what's like knowing you're going to be doing cocaine?
Yeah. Well, it is New York City, and it is in the heart of the city, so there are a lot of disgusting things to look at, but it just comes with the territory. On
what's like knowing you're going to be seeing somebody's wiener on the street?
Well, I saw one last time.
Yep.
Right in the heart of Times Square, and I saw one. Never forget it.
Where you belong.
Yeah, that's where I belong. So, yeah, I'll be gone for about a week. So, and I recorded one more video before I go. And what are you up to for the next week?
Well, working Tuesday through Saturday, and then got to go to the BH for a little bit on Sunday. So, gonna be doing that. Well, Z, you're not wrong. We're gonna be doing that, and looking forward to Wednesday when the Steelers report to training camp. So excited to kind of see the news come out of that. This past weekend, Jason and I, if you guys don't know who Jason is, it's my girlfriend Kelsey. We just call her Jason. But we went to a trampoline park on Friday.
God.
And she's been wanting to go, Z, so we decided to go for an hour. It was actually pretty fun, but we were the oldest ones there by a mile.
Oh, I bet you were. God, I mean, just how outdated.
Yeah, well, she wanted to go.
And everything that N lives around is outdated. And would you like to talk about your experience with your 9.5 wings that you had the other day?
Those were actually probably maybe the best wings I ever had.
You said the same thing about pickles.
I mean, Z, it's one place. I still think Pickles wings are really good, but Z, these are better than Pickles. These are better than Pickles by a mile.
Let me tell you guys about this place called Pickles. All right. So, and this is gonna be all a true story because every time I say a story about N, he thinks I say something in there that's not correct, but this is all correct. N would hype this place up for a couple years, and so eventually, when I went down last May. Or this past May, one of our things we were going to try was this place called Pickles. And we drive into the middle of fucking nowhere in West Virginia into a neighborhood. And we pull up to the place and Nate's like, we're here. And I'm like, well, where? And it just looks like a basement door. There's no sign. There's nothing. The restaurant is looking at the bottom of someone's like 2-story house, and so we go into the restaurant, and yeah, it's like a cool pub. We go into like this side room where it's about as bland as N's personality, and so we sit down. You know, the waiter comes, we start ordering, and you know, Ed and I keep it pretty simple when we go to these places. We don't want to try their wings. We want to try their burgers or their pizza or whatever, because that's the things that we want to rate, right? And we go there. I get the wings. The wings come, and instantly I'm just like, what is this? I mean, and I get better quality from Publix. And by the way, gave these wings what, like a 9.1, 9.2? Guys, they didn't even crack a 7. And you know what's funny is, like, I was honest about the rating. I wasn't really talking shit. I was just honest about the rating and how I was saying N was wrong. N got so tight. and even Jason saying next to him was like, calm down, N. So the whole time while we were leaving like that restaurant, N was just saying like, well, Z, maybe you should just go back home. You know, maybe you should just go back home. I don't know. You're not appreciating anything I'm bringing you to. I don't know why you would come out here then. Yada, yada, yada. Ends just going off. And just at the end of the day, I would never go back to that place. It was just not good. And maybe it was my experience, but it was not good. And I don't know where N got a 9.2 rating from, because it didn't even crack a 7. There's the story.
So Z's not wrong with the story in the sense of what he thought about the place. Does that make a reality in the sense of what the place is like? No, because everybody has their own opinion. But the thing that Z doesn't understand or has lack of understanding on, and something that he's never experienced in his life, because he grew up in a big city, he lives in a big city, and he mainly only travels to a big city. So this type of place was in West Virginia, where my girlfriend's from. Very small, more condensed and stuff like that. And when you go through different neighborhoods, you're going to have different neighborhood joints. You're going to have different neighborhood pubs, neighborhood eating places, drinking places that at the end of the day don't have the restaurant-esque, the 5-star quality or anything like that. But a lot of times those places are pretty good, or mom and pop places and stuff like that. Z doesn't even know what a mom and pop place is. He doesn't. He doesn't know what that is, because he's all about brand. Again, he grew up in a big city, so he's all about chain restaurants. The way the restaurant looks, the way that the food looks, even if the food tastes like ass. I don't know what to tell you. But Z can have his opinion. He didn't like the place. That's fine. I think their burgers aren't too bad. I like their wings a lot, but I don't get their barbecue wings like Z gets. I got a different type of flavor. And And the way that I get them, I like it a lot. When I tried Z's barbecue wing, I honestly didn't really like it that much. But that was just me.
But that's the heart and soul of wings is barbecue.
It's really not.
If not barbecue, what you got? Buffalo, mild, whatever. Those are the
And I liked mine. I didn't really like your barbecue wing.
And that's fine.
But you realize that a lot of different places are going to have things that are good, but then they're going to have a different selection type of flavor that maybe quite isn't good, or that maybe you don't quite like.
Well, don't even get me started on the fries.
Z, you don't have to go back.
Well, I don't plan on it then. Because when I come back up there, I guess I have to try this new place. I don't remember what it was even called. I don't think you even told me.
So this new place, so after Kelsey and I were down at the trampoline park, we were just kind of looking at online at some places that are a little bit more nearby that we haven't really tried. There are a couple places, but there's one place called Berg's Pizza and Wing Pub. Had really good reviews on it, and we wanted to give it a try. Something new that we didn't try before, but I've driven past it many times, but it's not in Washington. It's not in my area. It's about a 20-25 minute drive. And I'm telling you, so this place is actually pretty nice when you walk in. Pretty good size from the bar to the other side. You got different TVs going on and stuff like that. And so then once we sat down, like we're like, okay, yeah, this is a pretty nice atmosphere, stuff like that. The drink menu is fairly priced, $4 for a beer, $2.50/$3 on game days, which is fantastic. You're not going to go places and be able to find beer that cheap. You're not going to be able to. Number two, they had a pretty broad menu. Their pizza, they had deep dish, they had their wings, they had burgers, they had different handhelds. They had homemade custard ice cream, which I did not get to try when I was there. Different shakes. So like the menu looked pretty good. Okay. So we both kind of had a pretty good feeling about it. But then once my wings came out, I asked for the wet and dry, which is the wet and dry is you have a little bit of sauce, but you have some really good crisp on there, good crunch on the wing. And now when I got them, like, sure, like there could maybe been a little bit more meat, but it didn't really bother me. So I got a mild buffalo on it just to try, okay, the normal. And once I bit into it, I said to Kelsey, I was like, I don't think that I've had a wing that was this good. Savory, taste, just crunchy all around. It wasn't saucy, like you're not getting sauce all over your hands or anything. Just honestly, really a perfect amount. Ranch was great. And I sat to her and I'm like, I'm trying to think of all the places I've had wings at. And I honestly think that this is better than any other place that I can think of. From places in Florida, Arizona, here, that I've had wings, and definitely a 9.5. And we even got some yesterday, and I brought Kathy wanted some, and she said it was probably the best wing she ever had.
Well, clearly you've never been to B-Dubs.
I've been to B-Dubsy, and B-Dubs is dog piss.
It's dog piss.
If you think Buffalo Wild Wings is the best wing out there, that's all you gotta know about your standard. Buffalo Wild Wings sucks.
It really doesn't.
It really does. Their food's not good. Sure, maybe their wings might be their best thing on the menu. That's not saying much. That's a low bar.
Well, guys, we'll make this transition of this kind of food into what we're talking about. With the end of July and the beginning of August approaching, this means NFL training camp's going to get kicked off, going to get underway. This is when N actually becomes happy around the year, and then when we get in the middle of the season, he can't wait for it to end.
Yeah,
and then he's upset again for the first 6 months, and then he's happy again. So
yeah,
I mean, this guy's about as bipolar as it gets, but that doesn't matter. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about some pre-training camp. I don't know about so much predictions, but maybe what we're looking at, specifically towards the Ravens and Steelers, because we haven't talked about them in a while on here, and maybe some other news around the league that is noteworthy. In.
Yep. So Z, let me ask you this. Knowing the fact that ultimately all teams report this upcoming week, and the fact that this is the last Sunday without football, how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel great. Makes me feel on Sunday. Actually, I got to wake up earlier. Because
instead of 8, I wake up at 6:30.
means I got to get my stuff done earlier in the day, and but we, Ed and I are both fantasy football, advocates, and we both, with me living in Florida, I don't get to watch my team play all the time, but when I do, I love it. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. Ed's and I's favorite sport, and it's a great time of the year. So
it is. And I've been saying since May, Z, that I cannot wait to get through June, because July, once you hit July, you have the 4th. Yes, you're still kind of in the heart of summer there, but you know that it's the month that training camp's going to start, and then you're officially going to hit that rush to August with the preseason. Yeah. Why do you think you got sent home from Philadelphia?
Yeah.
When you going back, Z?
The Ravens were actually playing Philadelphia
This year?
No, I don't know if you remember that. When I was in Philadelphia, the Ravens were actually in Philadelphia playing the Eagles.
Oh.
Yeah.
What stopped you from going?
Oh, and that was the COVID year.
Oh, that's right. Couldn't remember, Z. Couldn't remember.
We don't need to bring up that story.
No, we don't. But anyway, I was so ready for June to end. And once it finally did, all right, we got the 4th of July, which is great. It's still, yes, heart of summer, but we know that training camp was coming up the end of the month, and then we can finally have that full-on rush, that football adrenaline. And then once you officially get through camp and preseason and all that kind of stuff, leaves are going to start to change. Leaves are falling. You feel it in the air. Football's starting. I know Z doesn't quite know what that is. Leaves falling and fall weather, fall season. But up north, Midwest a little bit, you're going to know what that is. But nonetheless, football season, the time of year, is fantastic. It absolutely is. And it's the best time of year. When you have football going on, fall, October, cool nights, even kick-starting into more toward the end of the year. It's the best time of year. There's no question about it.
Well, it also, I think the best part before it even starts is doing our fantasy draft.
Yes, it is. And I can't wait to do that. I mean, I'm literally chopping at the bit to set the draft picks here.
Yeah, and we need one more person, and the person sitting to your right is not the one to choose.
Well, Z, she even says herself that. Make sure then I'm just a last resort.
So if any of you guys watching are interested, and
we have one open spot.
We have one open spot remaining for our league. So you can hit up Nate or I if you guys have our contact information. But this is Ed and I have been doing our fantasy league for quite a while now.
8 years now,
8 years, and it's probably been maybe 4 or 5 years of doing it for money. And it's been quite the run. We've had a lot of people come through there. Some good, some bad.
Yeah,
and some, and some one and done.
Andy.
Yeah, Andy. Oh God. LA gang.
Murad.
A lot of one and dones then.
A lot of one and dones. But in our league, we've kept primarily the main core over the 8 years.
Which is who?
Me, you, Jericho, Nick.
Right.
Mike was honestly a part of that until he stopped playing.
Yeah.
So those 5, I'm not going to count Mike anymore, but that's been the main core the entire time.
Right.
And then we've had some who have been in for 3-4 years now, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've had some that have just kind of been people that come and go for a year or two. So Z and I, there's been 2 that have unexpectedly decided to leave the league. One does not hinder one bit. The other is he'll be back next year. Taking a year off, I guess.
That's what he says, and you know exactly who you are.
Yeah, you know exactly who you are. So I know you look at your dog's nuts every morning on the couch. You know who you are. I'm not wrong, Z.
It is a little weird how much Ajay is in love with his dog. Oh man,
yeah, I'm not wrong though. So he'll be back next year. His words, not mine.
I'll be recording that, send it to him.
Yep, send that to him. And then we had a few last year that we already knew that they were gonna be one and done. But honestly, it was just we needed some fillers, and we hoped that they'd be able to maybe meet a certain standard, and they didn't. So see you later.
And just so you guys are aware, if we're talking about, who would you say, and if they're in the league or if they're not, who's had the most amount of success and who's had the least amount of success?
Yeah. Well, Z has had the most success in our league. 8 years. Z has won what? Three championships out of the 8 years.
I think 2.
2. Okay. 2. You've been to 3.
Yeah.
He's won 2. He's been to 3.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really recall you ever have a losing record, right?
I don't think I've ever had one.
Yeah. Don't think he's ever had one. So I've never discounted Z's success. Z, even though I run the league, Z's still kind of my partner in crime with it because he still throws out ideas. He wants the league always to be competitive, to have a standard. We actually started shifting that standard, Z, once we started doing it for money.
Yeah, we did.
So because before we would have people in the league like missing the draft, and we're like, yeah, no, we're cutting that out. Yep. So we have a certain standard on the league. I'd say the last 5-6 years in particular, out of the 8 years the league's been in existence for. But yeah, so I'd say Z's had the most success. I'd say the least success. Let me think.
We've probably had around 30 to 35 people come around this league total. Is that a good number to throw out? I would say so. 30 to 35 people.
I'd say maybe a little less. I'd say maybe like, because we have like the main core.
Yeah, but think all the people have come and gone. And we already have like 4 new people this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe around 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over the last 8 years. Yeah, probably. But I'd say least amount of success in terms of somebody who's it's probably been D. Because for me, like, I've never in our league, I've never been like bad. I either will have like a mid record, or the times I've made the playoffs 3-4 times, I've lost in the first round. So I've never been. I don't know. I feel like, did I play Nick in the championship one time?
No, you never made the championship.
Okay. Then I must be thinking of Jericho's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never, like, I literally looked at the league history yesterday, and right now, like, I have, out of all my numbers, like win-loss, it's 500. So I told Z after last year, because last year when I drafted my team, Z, I actually had some confidence in this team. I told you, I said, this actually probably, in terms of the last 3-4 years, I think I like this draft the best. But it didn't quite really work out to what I hoped it would be. So I'm deciding to go a different route this year that nobody knows about. And hopefully that will maybe switch some things around. And then we've also been in another league where I've actually had a lot more success in that league than mine. I've won the championship, I think, 2 times out of 3 in that league.
Yeah, but I think, unfortunately, both of those weren't for money yet.
My second place finish was.
Right. And so, what's funny is the other league we play, which is Jericho's league. Like, I haven't had as much success in that, I would say, as N has, or even anywhere close to my team in our league. But I've had a couple good seasons, and last season in Jericho's league, which we've been in probably as long as in for our league, was my best season by a mile.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And you want to explain what happened?
Yeah. Well, so I think I went the whole season. I think I went 12-1.
Yeah.
I was literally unbeatable. And I went 12-1. The first round easily won. And then the championship round comes, and I'm like, dude, like, nobody could beat me. Like how can, or maybe I went undefeated in, I can't remember, until the championship. I can't remember. But
no, you lost a game because like Heintz got hurt, and you had to start Lawrence.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So then the championship came around. The first week of the season, dominated. And then my number 1 player on my team, Jalen Hurts, was out for the last game. I had no backup quarterback to go to. Of course, I had to go some shit quarterback. I didn't have Trevor Lawrence on my team at Jericho's league. So I can't remember who I started. And next, I had no fucking. Yeah, I started Nate Stanley. and then, so not only was Jalen Hurts out, but then like 2 of my other players sat out, and I lost.
Yeah,
I lost, and it was heartbreaking.
Well, this is why we do 1 week playoff in our league.
Absolutely.
So, which I think is the right thing to do. But I have decided to, we've come to agreement where in our league now, the winner of the loser bracket is going to be able to pick what draft pick they want the following season. And now, if it would be somebody that would win the losers bracket but would leave, then nobody picks their pick. Like that's just
Well, it should be whoever just has the highest seed after that person.
or we could do that.
Yeah,
that's okay too. We can do that. And then what was the other thing I was going to say about the league? Oh yeah, and then I'm going to try to implement a 5-team playoff instead of 4 this year. I tried to do it last year. I could not get it figured out, so I'm going to try to sit down when I have some time to sit down and try to, once we get the other team implemented, I'm going to try to sit down and implement a 5-team playoff.
Right.
Out of a 12-man league. So have 2 division winners, and then the other 3 are just wild cards.
Right. So stay tuned for our potential. We want to do it, our live stream of our draft. I mean, it won't be happening for like a month anyways, but still, look out for that and I do want to do that. I pitched that idea a little while ago, and I think it'd be fun to do. So anyways, let's kind of get on to the nitty gritty here, which is real life football.
Yep.
And and I can't help but say when it comes to around this time of the year, of course there are. I wouldn't say there's a team that gets talked about badly in training camp, right? Like when they all start showing up and they all start practicing, and like unless injuries start hindering a team before the preseason even begins, a lot of teams start looking good, but none of that shit matters, right? None of that shit matters when they're just practicing in training camp.
Yeah.
But I can't help but express the enjoyment that you see out of Aaron Rodgers' face and his attitude and his body language with the Jets, him being around a young core like that, a young core that is that talented. Not that Green Bay wasn't talented, but we know he didn't have receivers like that. We know the defense is probably better than the one he has. Fan base is the same. Don't tell me the Jets fan base is better than the Packers fan base. But I mean, the energy that he has brought to a team that needed him, and he just seems like he is in a good place. And honestly, I'm very much leaning towards the Jets winning the division after seeing a couple days of how much physicality they're playing with and how much competitiveness they're playing with just in practice.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, when you look at it, now Aaron's just a weird dude. Aaron's just an odd guy. Like he is. Everybody knows he's been. So Aaron definitely looks comfortable. Looks like he's enjoying himself, which has probably been a big thing. And if he was going to keep playing or not, is he going to be able? Am I going to find enjoyment in New York? Is this a franchise I want to play for? How do I feel about the Jets team overall? And Green Bay just wasn't offering him that. What the Jets have right now? They're not. No. The Green Bay doesn't have the electrifying playmakers on offense that the Jets have. Green Bay's defense has been rebuilt over the last X amount of years and is starting to come to fruition. Now you get a quarterback in there who still I believe in. I still believe in Aaron. I still think Aaron's a top 5 quarterback. And a quarterback that I think can still play at a high level, still give you 30 touchdowns. Now, the question comes with him is his health, because he had a little bit of an injury before training camp started. And how much will their offensive line be able to ultimately protect him, especially in today's NFL when you need a quarterback that can ultimately move and make plays with their legs. So that's kind of a question ultimately when it comes to Aaron, but I still believe in Aaron. I do. But you're right, Z. I think that Aaron might have a little bit of a grasp of kind of new life on football right now.
Yeah. I think, the fact that, it seems like he now has another number 1 caliber receiver in Garrett Wilson. He's nothing like Devontae Adams, but, it seems like their chemistry, their relationship is very similar to what him and Adams were. Right. They Alan Lazard follow along, who he has chemistry with from Green Bay, and they have other receivers and a pretty damn good running back who is coming back from an ACL injury. But But I mean, again, and they've built their offensive line over the years through the draft and even through free agency. So,
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to so much go through each and every team and how they look, and because I could care less about how the Houston Texans look in their training camp practices, right?
Yeah.
But and I think another team that has really kind of stood out to me so far, and I know training camp hasn't really officially begun yet for every team.
Yeah.
But I think another team that a lot of eyes are going to be on coming into training camp and into the preseason is undoubtedly going to be San Francisco. And they have a Super Bowl caliber, unbelievably talented roster from up to down, side to side, any position, you name it, it's top tier.
Yeah.
But we know they're concerned.
Yeah.
We know they're concerned. And what are your thoughts going into their quarterback battle now that Sam Darnold will probably be the starter going into training camp? And who in the hell knows who's going to be the week 1 starter?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. San Francisco's got a lot of talent, but their question with quarterback is very concerning. I don't care what anybody says. Trey Lance got drafted 3 years ago and has hardly played.
Yep.
Sam Darnold has been a bust of a player his entire career.
Yep.
Brock Purdy showed a lot of good things when he played, but he's coming off a pretty big elbow surgery.
Yep.
And will he even be ready? And if he is ready, how much difference will we see him from last season to this year now that he has like 7-8 games under his belt?
Just put him on the pup list.
Yeah.
Because you can, if you consider him like the best option that you have, which is fine and which is reasonable based off last season, like you can definitely, based off the talent you have on your roster, like if he doesn't play for the first 6-7 games of the season, you could definitely squeak out 4 wins.
Yeah. No, you could.
And that's
They have
reasonable.
they have that good enough of a roster and that good enough of coaching.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that their quarterback situation is concerning for the season and even long term.
Right.
So that's kind of the question that needs to be answered.
It's very concerning. And there's plenty of other quarterback battles kind of going on like throughout the league. Who's going to start in Tampa Bay? Who's going to start, in place of Kyler if Kyler's ready week 1? Are these rookies going to start week 1? CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. So, and who's like one. This could be a good question. Who's one single player in training camp right now that you think is going to really fly under the radar? Because maybe they've been forgotten the past couple years. Maybe they were drafted too high, but you think they'll come just flying out of the gates start of the season?
It's a good question.
Because I have a name right off the bat that I can think of.
Okay. No, it's a good question, Z. Flying under the radar or maybe not being talked about enough. I'm going to say Calvin Ridley, Z.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Calvin Ridley. When Calvin Ridley was playing, he was viewed as a number 1 type receiver. He was putting up really good numbers with Matt Ryan. He was probably on his way to being, would you want to say top 10, back end top 10, top 12?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to say him because I feel like even though that he's back, it doesn't really, and we know the season Jacksonville had that they had a good stretch at the end of the year. You saw a good improvement from Lawrence and ETN was healthy. Really a good turnaround from a team from a year ago. And now them acquiring Calvin Ridley, and though he's back, it's definitely not being talked about with the type of impact that he can have with them. Another type of receiver Trevor Lawrence can have. And I think Lawrence is just going to keep getting better. And Calvin Ridley, like I said, before he was suspended, was viewed as a back-end top 10 type guy, possibly. So now Lawrence is getting a guy like that back who wasn't injured, but he just missed the whole season for gambling. So he's not coming off an injury or anything. So I think that's a huge get for them. Pair him with Christian Kirk, ETN,
Evan Ingram
too, who had a kind of a bounce back year that he hasn't really done much of it in his career. So he kind of had a season where he was able to make an impact. Yeah, I think that's someone like that, Z, where training camp preseason, like, we're going to see some stuff and it's going to be like, oh, Calvin Ridley, like, he's back. Like, he was a top wide receiver before he missed the season and stuff. And I think that we're going to see that. And there's going to be some excitement around Jacksonville's offense.
Right. I'm going to throw out a name because I've actually thrown out this name before, and I thrown out this team before, and it's going to have a lot of controversy behind it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson. I think everybody's forgot the talent that he has, and how it's kind of, it's clearly faded off last couple of years, and for very clear reasons why that we're not going to go into. And it's just him not being on the field. It has nothing to do with injuries, right? But I think I do think the Browns team in general, and I think him in general, other than his contract that has ruined the market, is flying under the radar. Why? One, I already just said, because people have forgotten about his talent. But two, you want to talk about a support cast? God damn, he's got it. He has maybe the best running back in the NFL. He has a great duo in Amari Cooper and Eli Moore. He has really good
Moore?
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, Elijah Moore.
Whatever the hell his name is.
See, nobody's scared of Elijah Moore.
He's a really good tight end, Njoku. He has a great offensive line. So now I'm not going to get into the Browns, and if they have a chance to actually be good this season. But I think, again, just simply coming out of the regular season, I think he's just gonna come flying out of the gates. I think he's gonna turn into like that top tier fantasy quarterback that he once was. Will he have the support as he once had? Absolutely not. He doesn't have my support. But I think just him as a player, and I know how talented he is because we've seen it before when he played on Houston. Yeah, I mean, I think I just think out of my knowledge with football, he's in a decent situation with Cleveland, and if he comes out flying, then I wouldn't see why Cleveland wouldn't come out flying.
Well, Z, time will tell on that at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now, I want to get into the next conversation. That's about the Cardinals. And what in the hell is your expectation for the Arizona Cardinals this season?
See, there aren't any.
I know there's not.
Dude, I don't even know what to tell you, to be honest, man, with them. I think one thing, if I was a Cardinals fan, that would just piss me off is when you look at 2021 when they were 8-0, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And if I'm a Cardinals fan in 2021 where they're 8-0, Kyler Murray's playing well.
Yep.
We have DeAndre Hopkins. We have James Conner. We have they get Zach Ertz in 21.
Yeah, midseason.
Yep. Ertz. You have a defense that isn't carrying the team, but yeah, playing well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, right? I think, now again, I'm saying this is 2021 where the Cardinals right now. Okay. Yeah. We have a good future. We have a quarterback of the future that we think could be a guy for us finally. Still skeptical on the coach, but we have some safeties that can make some plays. We have a great pass rusher with Chandler Jones. We have Isaiah Simmons. Blah, blah, blah. You have a little bit of a rebuild offensive line. So, yeah. If I was a Cardinals fan at that point in time, I'd be excited about their future. I would think that they're going in the right direction. And then we fast forward to last season and just an absolute abomination.
It was awful.
And they decided to blow everything up. So ultimately, this future the Cardinals have been building towards, ultimately never came.
It never even started.
Yeah, I mean, it never really even did. But if we're going to go off of 2021 with them going 8-0, and if you're a fan, you're pretty optimistic about the future, right?
Absolutely.
It's not here. What's there to be optimistic about now? You have a whole new coach that a lot of people are skeptical about. You don't have anybody on defense that is ultimately an anchor. You have some young guys, but you got to kind of wait and see how they transition. Budda Baker wants out. Kyler Murray's coming back from a knee injury. You get rid of DeAndre Hopkins. You have Hollywood Brown, but he hasn't really cemented himself. You have an offensive line that you've moved a couple pieces. You've lost a center. You've lost a guard. You drafted Paris Johnson, but I don't really know what the plan is with him. So it's not really looking too good.
No, and obviously they hit the whole reset button this offseason with a new GM, a new head coach, new left tackle, trade their number one receiver, JJ Watt retiring, which I'm sorry, JJ Watt was a horrendous signing a couple years ago.
Oh, D disagrees.
Of course he does. I mean, of course it looked pretty solid at the beginning again when they were 8-0, but of course JJ Watt went down, and and then it's like, well, who the hell do we have to turn to?
Right.
Well, guess what? You could have spent that money to keep Hassan Reddick.
You could have. It's another guy they let go of.
Who has been, his career started off kind of slow, but he's been just fantastic past few seasons for Arizona, Carolina, then Philadelphia. Anyways, the point is that this off season for the Cardinals has been up and down. Believe it or not, I will actually say a little bit more up than down, just due to the fact of I like what they did in the draft. I like what they did for the future of their draft. How many first round picks they're going to have, second round picks they're going to have.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing when you're trying to build something. But I mean you're going to need, plain and simple, a head coach who can build a culture, because that's something Bruce Arians did, but that's not something Cliff Kingsbury did. And we don't need to go in the conversation about Cliff Kingsbury because we know how bad he is.
Right.
But yeah, no, obviously it's a shame. They were building a future. It was going to be an excellent future, but quite honestly, it never even really started.
No, it didn't, Z. But it doesn't surprise me.
No. So Murad, you enjoy Colt McCoy starting week 1. You enjoy Kyler coming in mid-season, and who the hell knows what that's going to be like.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Do you think there's anybody on their team worth drafting in fantasy this year?
Yeah, I would say so. Because here's the thing about the Cardinals is that, like, you can look at the roster, and there's a lot of good talent. There is a lot of good talent on their roster. They have a really good safety duo, a really good linebacker duo, a couple good receivers. James Conner's good when he's healthy. They took the best tackle in the draft, right? They have Kyler Murray. So I don't know, but it's just the fact that 1, too many injuries, 2, no leadership, 3, a complete entire overhaul in the front office and roster. Mm-hmm. And I just can't put a stamp on their ceiling and floor coming into the season. So let's move on from them, and let's move on to our 2 favorite teams, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens. And I couldn't help but sitting there listening to your guys' video from yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. And I hear Daniel say, yeah, here we go. I don't know how I got to the topic, but you were talking about, and even I said it. I said it from day one. They should start Kenny Pickett. Right. And you were saying that in the video, how you were an advocate of them starting Kenny Pickett week 1. Doesn't matter of the growing pains. Doesn't matter how long it took. Doesn't matter what the outcome was.
Right.
He was your very clear-cut future franchise quarterback, and he should have started week 1. And that's what you said. And I heard Daniel come on the mic. And I hear Daniel say essentially that he was on your side last year. No, you weren't, Daniel. I'll go all the way back in those videos. And Ed knows exactly what videos I'm talking about. How Nate at first, it wasn't for long, but Nate at first, Daniel for a very long time, and many people in that joke of a fan base, red as a tomato on that ferry, were loving Mitch Trubisky as the starter.
Did you say I was?
At first. I said at first.
I was not. When was I loving him as a starter?
And you defended, and you know it.
Yeah, I defended it. I
I
never defended that, Z. I never said Mitch should be the starter.
I'll tell you what I'll tell everybody what you said. You said him coming into a different coaching staff, a stable coaching staff, stable organization could be a whole new rejuvenation for his career, and he might be coming into the right place. I thought that was not even close to being true.
I did not say that it was going to turn him into something. I said that it might be able to make something better for him. But I never had any belief or confidence in him being able to do anything here.
Well, at the end of the day is that, he never should have started.
No, he shouldn't have.
No, he never should have started. Daniel, I'm sorry. He never should have started. Okay. And, obviously that's irrelevant today because now here we are. Kenny Pickett's the starter going training camp, preseason week 1. Duh. Right. Pittsburgh Steelers just earlier this week extend Alex Highsmith, which is an A+ move. Yeah, it seems like the majority of the money, which is the smart thing to do when you have a lot of core players still on rookie deals, that the majority of the contract money is going to come at the beginning portion of the contract. Mm-hmm. But there's one thing to me that stands out for the Pittsburgh Steelers coming into this year, right? And it has nothing to do with their defense, right? It has nothing to do with, can TJ Watt play a full season? Is Patrick Peterson aging? Blah blah blah. It has nothing to do with that. I don't care. I don't have any concerns about a new inside linebacker duo, right? I don't have any concerns about Holcomb coming off an injury, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers defense has a standard, and the standard is set by not only players who are there, but anybody who's going to come in and they're going to keep that production going. Where to me it raises an eyebrow, and there's a little bit of a red flag. It's something we've talked about before, and you've talked about before. Is one, right? What is the Pittsburgh Steelers offense going to look like? Right? Because are you going to have somebody who is now going on a second year and you're going to give him the whole entire playbook? To me, that's concerning. Why? Because he hasn't submitted himself as being somebody who can change play calls at the line, for somebody who can make the best decisions. Because he turned over the ball a lot when he first started last year. Sure, as the year went on, that kind of toned down, but he was a young guy, and a young quarterback coming in the season starting has concerns. But I think something that doesn't really get pointed out is, can this offensive coordinator, Canada, and all these new players that they've brought in over the last couple of years gel together? Because I think that's something that is not talked about, because an offensive line, when you bring in a new tackle and a new guard and you're moving pieces around, it's not going to be all, just butterflies, sunshines, and rainbows at the beginning of the season. Especially going against San Francisco's defense week 1. So to me, I'm a little bit concerned on how, Pittsburgh's offense is going to gel throughout the year, because it has it up and down last season, and Najee Harris was inconsistent but got it going, and Kenny Pickett started off slow but got it going. George Pickens was fantastic the whole year. Deontay Johnson been disappointment the last 2 years. Allen Robinson's been an absolute joke the last 2 years. So to me, I'm looking for the Steelers in this training camp to see how they gel together on their offense, how this develops, who gets placed where, who's the slot receiver, who are the outside receivers, period blank.
You have anything else you want to say?
No, that's it for me for the Steelers.
Okay. So nothing on in terms of what you like about the team.
Well, I'm pretty sure I kind of point out to what I like about the team. I point out that obviously I don't think their defense has any concerns. I know there's question marks about who's here and who's there. To me, doesn't really raise an eyebrow. And again, I didn't bring up the health concern. I don't like talking about that around this time of the year. To me, I think their defense is deep. I think their defense is playmakers up, down, left, and right. From the run defense to pass rush to the middle of the field to the secondary, I think it's outstanding. I don't think there's much to say about it. I go to their offense. Do I like their young core? Yeah. Is it the best young core in the league? No. But it's just a very interesting young core that the Steelers have, because, like, you know, obviously not any of them are like top 5 picks. Not any of them are like the biggest names in the league, right? You know, you have a tight end who was drafted in like the 3rd round. You have one of your best receivers, or I guess I would say both of your best receivers were drafted in like the 2nd and 3rd round, right? Your running back was like a mid-round first, quarterback mid-round first, tackle mid-round first. So, like, you know, you have so much, although I'm not saying like draft picks have anything to do with what the offense could come out to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, you know, I'm interested to see how these guys complement each other, how, I don't know how many times I can say gel together. But it's just a big deal. And what I'm just worried about the most is obviously who's running the helm at offense, which is their offense coordinator.
Yeah. Yeah. Z, believe me, you're not the only one with that. I'm not really even going to go into Steelers defense much because there's really nothing to go into with their defense. Their defense should be one of the better ones in the league, and their defense has been their primary part of the team since 2019. So I think that there's obviously expectations for them to be one of the higher rated defenses in the league. And it's a defense that can win you a lot of ball games. But yes, offense is the thing the most that I think when we talk about the Steelers that a lot of people are going to be looking at. And my biggest concern is the play caller. Yep. And I would have got rid of him. I would have. And I just don't have the faith in him to take the offense to the next level. I don't. I mean, he's gone through 3 different quarterbacks, Ben, Mitch, and Kenny, and there ultimately hasn't really been a lot. And sure, you can say, well, Ben, like his what he wanted to do, Ben couldn't really do. Well, Mitch couldn't do it either with whatever he wanted to do. And I know with Kenny as a rookie, like, you might only be able to, or only want him to do so much, but I don't really have a lot of faith in him. Now, can he take a step forward? Yes. But if he does, that doesn't mean that he's still going to be retained after this year. Red zone efficiency last year was their biggest problem on offense. They could not get the ball in the red zone, or in the end zone. I mean, they couldn't. And that's got to be a huge thing that changes for them offensively. Now, when you look at it, yeah, they have a good young core. Deontay did not have a very good year last year, but in 2021, he had over 1,000 yards. He had 6-7 touchdowns. And he kind of started to enter in that, okay, could this guy be a top 15-esque wide receiver? Well, we got to see what he does this year. Can he bounce back? George Pickens has a lot of talent. Najee Harris had a really good second half, had another season where he cracked over 1,000 yards. They got better on their offensive line in the offseason. Pat Freiermuth has really come into his own over the last 2 years. They drafted Darnell Washington, which I hope that they utilize him early on and don't just do the rookie-esque type thing where, yeah, we're not going to play him till week 8. Allen Robinson they bring in, but I think is in terms of veteran leadership, I think in terms of a third wide receiver, there's nothing wrong with that move. They have Calvin Austin, who did not play last year. He will get time in preseason, and we will see what he can bring to the table, however they want to use him. So, offensively, yes, Z, they have a pretty good young core. They do. And it's an offense, when you look at it, that, yeah, they need to take a step forward. They need to improve, and I think they will. But how much will it ultimately be with Matt Canada? Now, Mike Tomlin also said that he also has had his hands on the offense. Is that a good or a bad thing? Probably bad.
It's an awful thing.
Yeah. So how much is Matt Canada being handcuffed? Is Matt Canada able to do everything he wants to do? Is Matt Canada making half the calls and Mike Tomlin's making the other half? I don't know. But the Steelers know they have to get better offensively. They know they have to get better in the red zone. They know that they have to be able to push the ball down the field more, which is something they haven't done for 3 years. So they need to target the middle of the field better. So if Matt Canada can at least implement some modern day NFL concepts in his playbook and adapt some modern day NFL offense into what he wants to do, you need to be able to improve. And I hope that there is, and there's optimism that there is, because there's talent there. I think, hey, if they're an offense that can average around 23, 24 points a game, I can live with that. I can live with that. I think talent-wise, they should be even better than that. But if they do that, I can live with that. That doesn't mean Canada has to come back next year, which I honestly think is going to be the case. I think it's going to be the case where even if the Steelers have a good year, Canada's still not going to come back because there's still going to be things left to be desired. Does that make sense?
I think you look at so many play callers around the NFL, from Andy Reid with the Chiefs, right? Zach Taylor with the Bengals, Kyle Shanahan, Cincinnati, San Francisco,
Peterson,
right? Doug Peterson with Jacksonville, Mike McDaniel with Miami, and the reason why those offenses have so much success and they're going to come into this season with so much success is it's just the simple balance that they have, and how they just constantly keep you on your toes with so many motions and so many just play actions, right? And especially like all. And what I love about those offenses is how many times, like, we don't see all teams in the NFL anymore. Their quarterbacks always play right under center, right? Unless they're just handing off the ball, right? And that's what I love about like some of those specific offenses is just the flexibility that they have with their play calling and the versatility they have with their playmakers. The Steelers do have that, but it's really just about like how unpredictable Matt Canada can make this offense because last year I could tell you, I mean even I knew what was coming sitting there.
Everybody did.
Sitting there on the couch.
Everybody did. And Z also, do you remember when some of the players were calling him out?
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It ultimately does not matter if you are going to continue to run the same concepts. Everybody could be sitting there watching it and tell you if they're going to run the ball, if they're going to pass the ball, where they're going to pass the ball to. It was just predictable as that.
Yep.
And were there stretches at the second half of the season last year where there were some good things? Yes, there was. And I will say, Matt Canada honestly did a really good job at run design plays last year in the second half of the season when Najee Harris was healthy. He honestly did. They ran the ball really well. But he needs to take a step forward, not become the greatest OC in the league, but he needs to take a step forward. And we all know this. And he knows what's on the line. He knows that.
Take the floor for a second and I'll be right back.
Yep. So not really sure where Z's going. It could be a diaper change. I'm not sure.
I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, he'll be back in 30 seconds. So, but you guys watching this, if you follow football, if you watch the Steelers, if you're a Steeler fan or you watch them at certain points in the season, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm somebody that, even though I'm a Steeler fan, I'm somebody that a lot of times will put bias aside. So I like what they did this offseason. I love the draft they had. I think they got better as a team, and I think they will be better as a whole overall in general. But I still have my questions with the offensive coordinator. I still have my questions with how well will this offense be able to produce points, right? I do. I think it'll be a little better. I hope so. I think they'll be a little more productive. But what ultimately will be left on the table is to be kind of really the question. What will be left? What will be left to be desired? Will there be some inconsistencies? Yes, there probably will. But Matt Canada, regardless, needs to take a step forward. He needs to adapt himself into more modern day NFL schemes, concepts offensively into what he's trying to do. Not saying copy and paste what the Chiefs and the Eagles are doing or anything like that, but you need to make it your own. You need to do that, and I hope that that's the case. So when Z gets back, we'll talk about the Ravens. But I do. I'm excited about the Steelers. I'm excited about their season this year. Last year, no one really knew what to expect last year. It was like, yeah, there's still talent there, but there's some new faces. There's a new GM, a little turnover in the front office. And I didn't really put a lot of expectations on them just because the newness that was there. But with what we were able to know them as last year and as the season ended, they ended the season on a right note. They're able to end it the way that they were supposed to and how you want to do it, especially with a young offense going into the following year. So with that being said, am excited about them. Really good offense, really good draft. Excited to see some of these young guys play. I'm excited to see Patrick Peterson play. I'm excited to see Pat Pete in a Steelers uniform.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little bizarre.
I've always liked him a lot on the Cardinals. Great leader. But yeah, I'm excited about them. I think that they'll be better than what they were last year. But yeah, at the end of the day, really to close it out with them is how much is going to be left to be desired offensively. And we all know some of the questions with that. And I think you expect them to be a little better offensively, but how much better will they be able to be is to wait and see. So excited to see what they do. Excited to see how their season goes. Like I said, I feel good about them. And last year, as I even said on my other podcast last year, I said last year was actually probably a good thing to happen because when they were 2-6, they weren't really in that predicament like ever for a really long time. And then that happened. And then the way they finished the year was great, but they were able to really see what was wrong and what the issues were. And I think they attacked a good handful of that. So, yeah, I think really Steelers fans at the end of the day should have excitement, optimism going into the year. And, even for the future, for that sake. So, Z, you ready to move on to the Ravens here?
Yes, I am, man.
Okay. So, since Z started with the Steelers, I'll start with the Ravens here. We know the Ravens are also a team that no matter what, always find themselves as a competitive team one way or another. Yeah, Z, you've had that phone case for years now.
And I've really had it for like just over a year.
Z, you've had it longer than that.
I don't know how long I've had it.
I think you've had it since 2019.
No, I haven't.
I swear you have.
No, and I ordered that no more than 2 years ago.
All right. Well, you've had it for quite a while.
Yes, I have.
So, but yeah. So Z's a Ravens fan, as you guys all know, or those who are new to the channel know now. But the Ravens, one thing as a Steelers fan, I will say I do respect the Ravens. I respect their organization. I respect their front office. I respect how they go about things. They're always a competitive team one way or another, just like the Steelers are. And I think if you're a Ravens fan, you have reason to be excited as well about this season. So Z, with what I'm going to say about the Ravens here is I like their roster. I like their team. I think that they're a team that will be competitive, but I don't think either that they are up there in the cream of the crop of the AFC yet. Do you agree with that? I don't think they're up there with Kansas City or Baltimore or Cincinnati or even Buffalo right now.
No, so I disagree with the Buffalo part because I don't think Buffalo is on Cincinnati or Kansas City's tier.
I don't either. But I'm saying if we're gonna look at the AFC, I take all three of those teams.
Yeah. So on paper, that's where I'm high on the Ravens before I get into them because I'll let N go first. On paper, I think they're up there with those teams, but that's a whole different side of the story.
Yeah. So I'm not. The thing with the Ravens is I have felt the last couple years they've been one of the most overrated teams in the league. I really do. And injuries have had to play a part in that in terms of what has stopped them having some success. But when I look at the Ravens right now, I think they have a good roster. I think they have a roster that can win 10, 11 games. The biggest thing that comes with them is, yeah. And guys, that's what Z looks like when you see him at the front desk.
Yeah, the front desk.
How's bellhop?
I only do that at Disney.
Yeah, you only do that at Disney. But when it comes to the Ravens, the biggest thing is, can you trust their health? And I know that at this point in the year, like, we don't really call that consideration, but when we've looked at them the last 2 years, it's a major concern. It's a major concern, Z. It is. But when I look at them, there's a lot of things I like. We know that Lamar situation's cleared up, but I don't really even factor that into anything at the end of the day. Their offensive line's fine. We know that they kind of rebuilt that, retooled that over the last couple years. But when you look at their running backs, Dobbins, Gus Edwards, those are two guys that can't stay healthy. Lamar can't stay healthy. They add Zay Flowers, a wide receiver, which is a guy that has talent, but we know the Ravens' track record of drafting wide receivers. They've never been ultimately really good. OBJ, they sign a guy like him. We know OBJ got the contract he was looking for. OBJ is another guy that can't stay on the field either, and that's hurt a lot. So when we really put into consideration those things offensively, those are going to be things that make or break the Ravens offense this year. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Mark Andrews is probably the only outlier that you can ultimately rely on. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, Ravens offense added a new offensive coordinator. And I can't sit here and say that I know too much about him, because clearly I'm not going to sit here and say I followed him in college. Oh, I know everything about him. I know every concept, every scheme he runs from college. No, you don't. No, you don't, Maurice. No, you don't, Malik. No, you don't, Ramey. No, you don't, Nick. No, you don't. Freak out here. You don't know crap about the guy. So that's a really wait and see. Can Monken
Twitter trolls, guys? Twitter trolls.
Yeah, Twitter trolls. Can Monken be a guy that can change the landscape of the offense from what they've had before with Greg Roman? How much will he do? How much will change? What is he going to implement different that was something that was not implemented over the last few years? Okay, we'll wait and see. When we look at the other side of the ball, they have a really good inside linebacking group. Roquan Smith, they gave a bag to. Patrick Queen will probably be the odd guy out, but he's still a guy who has gotten better. They have, I will say, their secondary, I think, will be pretty solid. Kyle Hamilton came on the scene toward the final stretch of the year last year. Marcus Williams in year 2. Marlon Humphrey. But Z, I will say that there's things on their defense that I don't like. I don't. I think their edge rush is terrible. I think their pass rush is awful. They have been in a state the last 3-4 years of rotating in and out guys at edge rush. There's nobody there that, to me, you can rely on. There's nobody there that can anchor down the pass rush for them. We know that they did a really good job at containing other teams running the ball. Look at their linebackers. A couple guys on the defensive line stepped up. But the pass rush is concerning. Would you agree?
Yeah.
It is. Tyus Bowser. You got freaking Tim Williams. You got...
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, the Ravens drafted Tim Williams back in, like, I can't remember, like 2014, and still says it to this day.
I was told he was the second coming, Z. That's what I heard.
Don't know who you were told by.
Yeah. So, Odafe Oweh was just putrid last year. We know they drafted David Ojabo. He's healthy now. How much will he be able to do? Did they bring back Justin Houston?
No, he's a free agent.
Yeah, I didn't think they did. So will he be a guy that they possibly bring back? Possibly, but they've just been in this rotation of guys. Like, they haven't had a solidified edge rush. They haven't been able to really have anybody to hold a certain side down. They just kind of rotate guys in and out, which isn't necessarily bad, but like the quality, there's just a lot of lack of quality there. And I think also when you look at some of the secondary, like other than Marlon, like I think that there's a little bit in terms of now listen, every team, don't let anybody deceive you or lie to you. Every football team, every moment, every time of year, every football team has holes. It's just a matter of how big those holes are. It's a matter of how much have they minimized those holes. Every team will never fill every hole. That's how it is. But I am going to say, other than Marlon Humphrey, I'm not too crazy about some of the Ravens' other cornerbacks. I think they're pretty thin there. I really do. I know they brought in Rock Ya-Sin, but Rock Ya-Sin hasn't really been a guy that has ultimately held down a starting job throughout his entire career. And then they're going to have some other battles going on. They're going to have some battles in the slot. Who's going to be the slot guy? They still have Stevens. They still have a couple guys last year that started on the outside corner that they still have on their depth chart. So at the end of the day, is it a bad defense? No. But I don't think it's going to be a defense that's going to be up there with some other teams. They'll probably do good at stopping the run. They'll get some turnovers. But I just have to say, Z, like you know that there's that in terms of getting to the quarterback, it's probably not going to be that great. It's probably not. It's probably not. So I really think with the Ravens at the end of the day, I think a lot of it has to come with health. How healthy can they stay? Because I think they have a good roster. I think they have a good team. I think they have a good enough team where they can win 10, 11 games. I do. Lamar hasn't really been a guy that has knocked my socks off since his MVP year. I'm not big on Lamar like some other guys will be. I give the guy respect. He's won a lot of his games. He's won an MVP. But he hasn't done anything that has, for me, warranted to put him in the upper echelon of other quarterbacks. That's just how it is. Now, will he be more of a passer with the new OC? Will they have a little bit more focus on passing the ball with this new OC? From what I've read, yeah, they're going to try to maybe make that more of an emphasis. Okay, that's great because you have some guys there that can make the plays, but health, development, those are some really big factors I think that are make or break the Ravens this year. And but for me, when I look at the landscape of the AFC, I think you have a couple that are in the cream of crop, and then I just think you have a big pond of teams in the AFC that I think can honestly probably go toe-to-toe against each other. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
And that's how I feel. Now, I don't think the AFC, Z, we've known the hype, we've known the excitement that the AFC has gotten over this offseason that, the AFC is so stacked, it's loaded with quarterbacks. I'm not buying it. You realize that there's going to be at least two of those teams that are going to disappoint, that are going to fall short. It's going to happen. There's at least 2 or 3 different playoff teams every year in the AFC and the NFC. So when we look at the teams like the Chargers, the Jets, you can say the Browns in terms of some of the hype they've gotten. You look at the Dolphins. You look at, I don't know if you want.
I'll say the Jags.
Yeah, the Jags. If you want to put a Denver in there in terms of they got Peyton, some of those teams are going to fall short. Some of those teams are going to disappoint, and that's just how it is. So, I think you have a couple there at the top of the conference, rightfully so, and then you just have a big pond. And I think that pond really consists of the Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Ravens, Browns, Steelers, Chargers, maybe Denver, Jacksonville. Do you agree with that? I think it's just a big pond of teams that are going to be it's going to be a competitive conference, but just a big pond of teams that can ultimately probably
who's
go
gonna
head-to-head.
Yeah, who's gonna be those 1 or 2 teams, maybe even 3, who knows, to come out of there as legitimate contenders,
right?
because
Who's going to be a surprise this year? Who's going to be better? Who's going to take a step back that was expected to be good? Right. It's just that's just how it is. That's just how it is. So that's kind of my thought with the Ravens. I like their roster, like their team. I think they have some good things on both sides of the ball. They have some holes like every other team has. But health is a big outlier in terms of how far the team's going to go, how much success the team's going to have. Development is also going to be a thing too, and the implement of this new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to leave it at.
Now the first thing I want to say is just get ready for the first game of the season. I will be there.
Yeah, you will.
Yep, I will be there.
And that's going to be one of the 6 games he watches.
Yeah, well, you're right.
I always get on Z guys because like he'll get on me like, oh, and what's it like knowing I'm going to more Raven games than you are Steeler games? I'm like, Z, I live out here. I can go to any game I want. I say I watch every game, regardless. Every single season you watch 6. So,
and that's not my fault. I'm not giving Roger $400 in my $400 in my bank account to, if it was like 200 to only watch the Ravens, I would do it. But why do I need to pay $400?
I mean, it's ridiculous. They need to have individual team plans.
Yes, they do.
So it's terrible.
But yeah, so guys, so I will be there September 9th to the 11th. But September 10th is the first game against the Houston Texans. And I will be there, and I'll be sending in plenty of pictures. So
yes, you will. I would love to see them get upset.
Yeah, right. And we'll hear from you for the rest of the week.
Yeah, but it'll be a good time for Z to go. So it's gonna be his first time in Baltimore, actually.
Yes, it will be, and I'll be there on my own.
Yeah. Well, Z, enjoy the breakfast.
Yeah. Anyways, I think when it comes to the Ravens, is I'm typically not a Ravens fan. I'm not one of the usual fans that likes to actually talk about their team too much. I've had that same kind of mindset for years now. I don't talk about the Ravens too much when it comes in the season because typically I keep my expectations and my predictions pretty quiet. Not that I think the Ravens will win the Super Bowl every single year like Nick Mason does, but that guy's a joke. And
Mo.
Yeah, Mo.
Never forget Mo wanted to fire John and send Lamar packing, and then it's a complete different narrative.
Yeah. But I do think things are going to change for the Ravens this season based off the history of their franchise. And I think the offense is going to have to be one that is going to be the key to them having success this season. It has to be.
Yeah.
The amount of money they paid Lamar, the amount of money they paid Ronnie Stanley, Mark Andrews, OBJ, and let's not even go to the fact. Let's not even go to deep into account of the fact that they've completely overhauled their wide receiving core with signing OBJ, with signing Nelson Aguilar, right? With drafting a first-round receiver. And guess what? They still have another first-round receiver in Bateman, right? So you have all of these fucking wide receivers on the team. And here I go to the same thing we talk about every single year with the Ravens because it's not a narrative, it's true. They lead the league in injuries every single year. And it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
In case you guys don't know, the Ravens fired their strength and conditioning coach and staff at the end of last season because it was just that bad. His name was Steve Saunders. I mean, the guy looks like he's a freaking potato.
Z, do you think that guy gets a job ever again?
And I don't know how he would. So, I'm not going to go into the conversation about health because I'm just annoyed of it. I'm annoyed, and that's a big thing. You know what's funny is I'm not going to go back all the way to the 2015 season, but the 2015 season, the Ravens have had so many injuries.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah,
it was terrible. I mean,
that was bad. Z, that was a bad year.
I mean, to just put that in perspective for you guys, God, who was one of our starting corners then? I think Danny Guerrero was one of our starting corners. Dominique Franks was one of our starting corners.
That's all you got to know.
Whoever they are, and
yeah. Walmart graders.
Yep. Jimmy Clausen started a game for us at one point.
It's terrible.
God, Jimmy Clausen in.
Never forget, Mel Kiper said he would quit being an analyst if Jimmy Clausen never became a starter.
Yeah, the one guy we hear from one day of the year. Anyways, the Ravens offense is going to be the cream of the crop for them this season with their new coordinator, with Lamar under extension, with a whole new wide receiving core, and an offensive line that has also, been paid very well. Stanley left tackle, first round pick, Linderbaum. So much investment and high draft picks into their offense, including Dobbins and Edwards. And for the life of me, I don't understand why they just signed Melvin Gordon. That's a horrendous signing. He better not be on the team week 1, and I better not see him have carries when I'm at M&T Bank Stadium.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the Ravens. They'll just sign some of these random running backs.
I just, if you're gonna bring a veteran running back, why not anybody except him? Why not Kenyon Drake? He was on the team last year.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, so the offense is going to be the key to success for them, and that's what it's all about, man. I mean, they're all coming. Rashad Bateman was activated for training camp officially. All their tight ends are set. The only guy we're questioning might not be there is fucking J.K. Dobbins, right? I'm starting to get on the side of the train for Dobbins, where it's kind of like, just move on.
Yeah,
just move on, right? He's.
Right.
It's a shame with Dobbins because he's actually so extremely talented. At Ohio State, his rookie year, he was fantastic. Almost ran for 1,000 yards his rookie year, and he wasn't even a starter.
Right.
So, but I mean, he's had so many injuries. I actually, I won't say that. I won't say he had so many injuries, but that knee injury he had a couple years ago was bad.
Yeah, and then he took a little while to recover from it last year.
Took a long time, and there was
the guy wants a $50 million deal.
For what?
For what? I mean, what's he ultimately accomplished?
Right. So, I do hope. I think he's probably good to go for the start of the season. I do hope he's there, because when him and Edwards are on the field, you're going to hear me say this a lot. When they're on the field, they're productive. So, So the things with the Ravens is, their offense is going to be very relied on, because if I go over to their defense side of the ball, I think it's very boom or bust. They have a phenomenal inside linebacking core. They have a phenomenal safety core. So they're going to be very turnover heavy or very big play allow heavy, which isn't a shot towards Marcus Williams, who's a very good safety, who's not a shot towards Marlon Humphrey, who's a very good corner. It's more just a testament to their depth. I mean, do I really want to see Demarion Williams be the starting slot corner week 1?
Oh,
yeah,
Demarion. Yeah, Sean. Oh, that's bad.
And I just I don't.
They pull Tyler Ash.
They drafted him in the 4th round last year.
God.
And what's funny is you say I don't know my teams, but I'm telling you my teams right now. So just sit there and listen, because I know after this episode ends, you're going straight through that brown door and right to that room across.
Yep.
So
yeah, you're right.
Which about 4 people sit on that toilet a day.
Yeah, 4 people.
It's just disturbing to think about.
I've actually been using the one downstairs a lot.
So I think their defense is very kind of boom or bust. I do like the defense. I do like the defensive line, and brings up a good point about the pass rush. The thing is about the Ravens pass rush is that it's not that they've not tried. It's not that they've not tried.
They've just failed.
They've just failed.
Yeah.
Tyus Bowser's 2nd round pick. Ajabo would have been a 1st round pick if it wasn't for his Achilles tear.
Oweh was a 1st round pick.
Oweh was a 1st round pick.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and you think of so many other guys in the past who they've lost and have gone on to be productive. Matt Judon, Darius Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But now they start bringing these veterans, which is cool. Like last season, they brought back Justin Houston again last season. They brought in Jace Pierre-Paul as the year went on, and that's cool. But dude, they're in their mid-30s. It's only going to be so limited on how much. Yeah, and they brought in Kyle Van Noy for a visit the other day. It's
that's what I mean. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's another 5-sack production. So obviously we're coming into this season slightly different because we have a Jabo coming in fully healthy and we can see what he can become. But we know what Odafe Oweh is. He's essentially a bust. Tyus Bowser is a fine reserve. I don't know about a starter, but a fine reserve. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I mean about boom or bust, is that if the Ravens are not getting that pass rush production, if the Ravens don't have that corner depth, the safeties are totally fine, even if one of the others go down. Geno Stone got starting time last year. Brandon Stevens has starting time last year. So the safeties are fine, but that quarterback depth, that pass rush production is something that we're all going to raise our eyebrows for, because quite honestly, those are the most important positions out there on the defense.
Yeah.
And You know, if someone behind Marlon and Rocky Sin are not producing, if Adafia Way is so gifted physically, but you know plays like a fucking pussy out on the field, it means nothing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I am pretty high on the Ravens. I'm very, very much looking forward to going to the first game, not only to experience it, but to see what this new offense is about, to see what this new whole Ravens team that they've invested so much goddamn money into.
Well, I can't wait to hear the overreactions after beating the Texans.
Well, I think it's coming. So, anyways, that kind of ends my kind of conversation on the Ravens. So, this was a good episode. And I actually went an hour and a half.
Yeah, we did. A lot longer than we thought, but we haven't really had one this long in a little while, so it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally okay. And, we're not going to be recording anytime soon, so it feels good to get an episode like this out because we haven't talked about sports in a while. I'm sure the next time we'll be talking about football will probably be our draft. So
yeah, it probably will. Will. So, and Z and I can even implement certain shows where we talk about it's like Fantasy Mondays or something.
Yeah, so the only other football topic to bring up is we have a game tomorrow. We might have a game tomorrow.
Yep.
So
don't get your hope up.
No, I won't. So I'll let you know how that goes.
But
yeah, and it was a fun one. It was a fun one.
Good episode, Z. It was good hour and a half, guys, talking to y'all. For all those who stayed the entire hour and a half, pretty incredible. Thank you. For those who even watched a little bit, we appreciate it. So I gotta know about that guy right there. But Z, are you gonna be streaming tonight?
Yes, I will be. So once NI in our episode, not that it matters because this will be put up a day or two later, so they're not. It's gonna.
I did say it'd be up on Monday. Z, it will be up on Monday.
But if you guys see this on Monday, I will be streaming Tuesday night, so the following day, before I go to New York. So peace and love, guys. Appreciate you as we're on the way to 100 followers. We're at 64, which is solid so far, and yeah.
Yep. So anyway, guys, Z and I will be back with more football talk when he gets back from New York and we get our fantasy drafts going and this preseason gets going on. So it is actually the since today's Sunday, this is the last. Let me see real quick. Hold on, Z. This is the last. This is the last week without football. So the first game is actually Thursday. I read it was the last Sunday. That's actually false. It's we have one more Sunday without football, but it's the last week without football.
Yep.
So that's pretty exciting, pretty good news to all of us. But guys, we'll leave it there. We will be back when Z gets back from New York. And you guys can check out my other channel right here at Heintz Sight. And that will be in the link below. So guys, we appreciate your support. We're looking forward to be back on the channel. And we will see you then.